Hello, how's it going? I have to make sure that I'm muted or not muted, rather. Hi, I hope that you can hear me and see me. It's been an interesting month over here at my life, mostly because I've had vertigo for a lot of the last month, which is sucks and is a big problem and has negatively affected my quality of life and made it hard for me to get any work done. And it's exhausting to try to keep a normal work schedule when you don't feel well, as anybody who's ever not felt well knows. And yeah, so I might not be in a good mood, for which I apologize. I don't talk about that stuff publicly, but I figured that since I'm here in a safe space, I can. It's been kind of a crappy month, but we all have them, and hopefully it will get better. It's nice to see all of you, friends old and new, and it reminds me why we do this work and how lucky we are to do it, even when I get frustrated about it and feel concerned about the changes in the social internet and the way that we interact online and how that's affecting the way that we interact in real life. And yeah, so it is, but it's very nice to see you guys, and it's kind of one of the highlights of my month. So thank you. If you want to leave questions, please leave them now, because I couldn't see the ones that you were leaving before. I think I'm broken. Hold on. This is so annoying. Terrible internet at our internet video company.
You're good. I can see you. I can see you just fine on the thing.
Can you hear me?
I was watching you streaming, and you looked good. You sounded good. Everything's working.
Well, when I go to the stream, it just says it's paused, but maybe it isn't. Maybe that's just my stream is paused.
Okay. Well, if it's not working for somebody, just refresh it, because it looks good.
Try to refresh it. Okay. I was just in a dark headspace, Hank, as I have been for much of the past month, explaining to people that I have vertigo and it's extremely distracting, and I understand why vertigo is like a permanent disability for a lot of people. You take for granted this sense of balance works, and then when it doesn't work, you're like, oh great, now I can't do literally anything. But anyway, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't have any huge health complaints right now. Things are running smoothly. Thanks in large part to my relationship with Metamucil.
Oh man, I mean, you're really trying to make that Metamucil thing happen.
I don't know. Maybe they're listening right now, John.
Is something happening behind the scenes or what?
No, nothing is happening behind the scenes.
Okay. I think it's hilarious that, I mean, we've both tried very hard to get these corporations that we love to care about us the way we care about them, and to understand that, like, you know, look, we may not have the audience that we had in 2015. We may not, you know, be like hanging out with Shailene Woodley and Ansel Elgort every weekend. But we are tastemakers, Hank.
That's right. I mean, I think that we're trustworthy. I think that we have an international audience, John. Metamucil is available all over the place, and it's not like it's a big problem that I think the internet has in general, is that these marketing departments are divided up by country. And when they say, well, you say that you have a reach of this many, but it's half that, because I only care about the people in America. And I'm like, y'all, just stop thinking of it that way and merge up, like have one digital department that cares about the whole world, because nobody's going to have an audience that's just in one place anymore. That's a ridiculous idea.
I know. And I'm sorry that the failure of marketing departments to globalize has caused such distress in your life, and that you're not able to maximize your revenue. You know what I was thinking of?
Right.
Please leave your questions for us in comments, by the way, because we want to answer a lot of your questions. We find your questions very interesting, and they also keep us on track. And also, we are, I want to say again how grateful we are to you, not just for your support on Patreon, but for being, you know, many of you, the really core members of this community that allow it to keep going and working.
Yep. John.
But to get back to the fact that you can't maximize your Metamucil revenue, I've been thinking lately about my relationship with Google, which is pretty fraught and complicated and not, I would say, like not a super healthy corporate relationship. Whereas my relationship with Delta is as good as a relationship. Like it's as healthy a relationship as any that I'm in, including like my relationship with my kids. I had a delayed Delta flight recently. It was delayed by about an hour, and I got a call the next day from a woman, and I didn't know who it was. I was just listening to the voicemail, and the first 10 seconds of the voicemail, the way she was talking to me, it was like she was talking to me like my dog had just died, and it was her job to tell me that my dog had died, and she was like, I'm calling from Delta, and I just want to tell you how incredibly sorry we are. We know that there is no resource more valuable than
This
your time.
doesn't this doesn't
And
seem like a good relationship. This seems like you are on the side of this relationship that is has way too much.
no,
Uh,
no, let me get to the end of the story. He
okay,
was like, I'm
okay.
so sorry. If there wasn't a problem, if you didn't feel like we could do better, just don't call back. But if you do feel like we could do better, please let us know. I really want to hear from you. Here is my personal phone number. And so I called the number, and I was like, I thought you guys handled that delay really well, and I appreciate your phone call. But I thought you did a great job, and like aircraft maintenance is important. And then she was like, oh, thank you so much for telling me that. That means so, we have been so worried. I was like, why aren't all of my corporate relationships like this? Like, why don't
ridiculous? That's a ridiculous expectation.
every time I crack open a Diet Dr. Pepper, I want to get a phone call from Diet Dr. Pepper headquarters where they're like, how is it? Is it good? Or do you like it? Does it feel different? Because we've been trying some things.
You don't, except you don't want that, do you? You don't want Diet Dr. Pepper to try some things. You like it the way that it is.
I don't want them to try things. You're right. You put me in a better mood already, Hank. Let's go to some of the questions real quick. Dawdle asks, no VidCon nightmares? Oh, there are VidCon nightmares.
I mean, the one that I had last night, I don't know if I could call it a nightmare, but it was weird because like the big stressor was that you were there, you had arrived,
Mhm.
and you were about to go on stage,
Mhm.
and I was supposed to be there with you, and I couldn't get into VidCon. And it was one of those dreams where you try everything and you just aren't moving forward at all because everything is trying to block you.
Mhm.
And the stress was that like John Green was going to have to go on stage by himself, and I felt like was letting you down. That was my VidCon stress dream
Oh
last night.
man, I don't mind going on stage by myself. Don't worry about that if that's what happens. That'll be okay. VidCon is a lot less stressful for us this year because
Yeah, the quality of my stress dreams have gone from you are the pilot of an airplane, you have crashed, and you have to call and apologize to all the families of the people you killed,
right.
to my brother's going on stage without me.
Yeah, VidCon is a little less stressful for us these days because we don't own it. Um, uh, John, you look relatively well.
Well, that's good to hear.
And I wasn't half as functional as you. That's nice to say. Yeah, it's not terrible vertigo. It's just kind of really persistent. Westerly says, any advice on finding a new apartment on your own? My roommate is moving in with her boyfriend and I'll be on my own, and I'm trying not to stress about the money and the loneliness. I can't help you on the money front. And also, I don't know how people shop for apartments in 2018 because I got all of my apartments from a thing called a newspaper. But I assume that there is a Zillow for apartments. I can help you on the loneliness, which is that I had roommates from the time I was 14 years old until I was 25. And then I had this horrible breakup, and I, in order to move back to Chicago and continue my job, I had to get an apartment by myself, and I was terrified because I'd never not had roommates before, and I can isolate myself pretty quickly. What I found actually is that like if I'm taking care of my mental health and I'm doing a good job of like doing the stuff I'm supposed to do to be relatively healthy, like I like it. I like coming home and being like, oh, this is my apartment. What is dirty in here, I made dirty, and what is clean in here, I made clean. And now I will read my book and watch my television show. As long as you have something during the day, in my case, work, that is not in the apartment, so like you get out on a regular basis, I think you'll be fine. I think it'll be better than you expect, actually.
I I feel like you have to have roommates. I have this very weird I like perspective of how like life is supposed to go. I feel like you have to have roommates for a while so that you can appreciate that moment when you don't have roommates anymore. In the same way that I don't feel like your first apartment should have like a washer, dryer, and a dishwasher. I feel like you should upgrade into those things. If you start with all of the best stuff, then like where what are you striving for? So you have to start with an apartment that you share with 3 people, and it shares a wall with some really upsettingly rowdy neighbors who like to like wrestle with cathode ray tube televisions, which I did at one point. I don't know. They just threw their TV around a lot until one day it ended up in the creek behind the place. And then you have to like go to the laundromat with all your clothes, and then one at a time you build and you get a better and better place. And that way it feels like, and then by the time you're 40, you're like, well, I think I'm ready to have a kid. I think I've done it. Because you have to feel like you're striving. You have to feel like you're making progress.
Yeah, yeah. Lorena says, I can't focus on anything this week because World Cup. How does one focus better? You don't, Lorena. You just give yourself over to it. Get World Cup.
You gotta say that this is my focus. I am focused. I'm focused on World Cup.
I mean, 47 months a year, the world is a cesspool of competing desires, this, relentless grinding horrors of geopolitics. And then 1 month for every 48 months, we come together and we agree to care about something. It seems to me that this is overwhelmingly the most important month of the 48-month cycle. So, like, of course you care about it. It's not about sports. It's about people together giving a shit in a positive way about something other than, like, the slow and continuing collapse of civilization.
Yeah. And I wish that I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch World Cup because I still haven't got that like that thing I have with football and hockey where I understand that every moment is important. When I'm watching soccer, I'm like, it feels like most of these moments aren't important. It feels like mostly you're back behind the midfield line kicking it around.
Oh, well, I mean, that's probably because you watch a lot of World Cup soccer, and World Cup soccer is of exceptionally low quality because all the teams are so worried about giving up a goal. But no, every time the ball is being kicked back there, what's really happening is a building. So you don't look at the ball being kicked back there. Look at the way that the players in midfield are moving, trying to open up space, trying to think.
Right, and this is something that I very that like, and hockey is similar to soccer in that there aren't a lot of goals and there's a lot of passing around and there's a lot of like long periods of time between even like shots on goal, and I can see that with hockey. I can follow what's happening in the building in a way that I am currently not able to with soccer just because I haven't watched it enough.
Yeah, that's fair. But watch a little bit. Hank, just watch a little bit of World Cup for me because I need somebody to watch the World Cup with.
How do I do it? Is it going to be on Twitter?
It's going to be on Fox.
Oh.
Do you have Fox?
I don't actually know what that means. What is Fox?
Okay, well, we used to have this thing called television, and you would turn on television, certain things would be on at certain times. It was a terrible
idea. There's all kinds of different Foxes. Like there's Fox Sports, and there's Fox Sports 2, and there's Fox News, and there's Fox, the network station.
It's going to be on Fox Sports, and Fox Sports 2.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can get access to those, but
is it not going to just? Are they not going to put it on Twitter like they're doing with basketball and football now?
No.
That's too bad. That's what I want. We have so many high quality questions in this live stream coming in, John.
Yeah.
So I have to get to this one from. It says this is my first time seeing the live stream, and I just found a raccoon family living in the tree outside of my room, and I'm so distracted now. What do I do about this raccoon family? I don't know that you have to do anything. It's just like the way that you have any share your space with lots of different living organisms. You don't have to do anything about them. We have a raccoon family in our neighborhood, and they have been trouble. They've been some
Oh,
trouble
yeah, I was going to say,
with regards to the garbage cans.
it depends on how much trouble they make. If they make a lot of trouble, you've got to hire the humane trap people so that they'll take the raccoons, drive them 45 miles away, and then the raccoons will take like 5 or 6 days to get back to exactly where they were before.
They're like, that was a good spot though, and I know there's no raccoons there. I know there's no competition because it was our spot.
Claire asks, who are we supporting in the World Cup? Well, Claire, I can't speak for all of Nerdfighteria, but I am supporting Egypt. Egypt is my number 1 team. My number 2 team is a tie between Peru and Iceland. And then my number 3 team is England, because a lot of my friends are English, and I don't want them to suffer too badly. Mostly I am Egyptian because of Mohammed Salah, because the people of Egypt are going through a difficult time with an unjust government, because lots of reasons. So, and also just because it's their first World Cup in a generation. So it's incredibly exciting for them. It means so much to that country, and I'm really excited for them. But there's so many great teams. I mean, Brazil play beautifully. It's very hard for me to root against Brazil because there's such a strong Nerdfighter community in Brazil, and they play beautifully. So I don't know. It's just going to be a fun World Cup.
Mice Muncher asks, how can I persuade my husband to help around the house more without being either nagging or manipulative? I gotta say, it's not easy. It's so interesting to to analyze my own reaction to my wife being like, hey, there's a lot of socks over here.
Yeah.
And not be like, God dang, that's fine. And I'm like, well, yeah, actually, there are a lot of socks over there, and it'd probably be good if there weren't. And that is sort of what, the source of those socks is unquestionably my feet. I can tell because of the size of those socks. And so I feel like it has to be like, I had to come to terms with the fact that I needed to invest in this relationship, and like that was done. That conversation happened at times when there weren't dishes in the sink and there weren't socks on the floor, and it was like moments of good times when it was like, how can we have a better relationship? And I was like, I'm going to do the dishes every night, and I want you to wake up in the morning and have there not be dishes in the sink. And that is a thing. That is like a contribution that I can make to this household.
There was an episode of Dear Sugars about this that I thought was really, really good, because it talked about that. It talked about how most men tend to react very defensively, because they feel like they do a lot around the house. They feel like they do contribute in important ways, and in many cases they do, and they feel like a lot of their contributions go unnoticed. But the phrase they used in this episode of Dear Sugars was emotional labor. And I found that to be very helpful, that there are all of these things, from making sure that the snacks are sorted, and making sure that the email from the pre-K teacher has been responded to, making sure that this thing is on schedule, going out and doing the groceries without a list. Because if your husband does it, he just calls you and asks for a list, which is almost as much work as just doing the grocery shopping. Like, all of this generally goes completely unnoticed. And I think there's two parts of that. One is saying, like, I need you to notice that I'm doing this, and I need you to acknowledge that it's important for our family. And I think that's really important. And then the second part is, there are parts of this emotional labor stuff that I really don't like. And if you could do some of that, it would be really helpful. Part of that is also to listen to the person talk about maybe the emotional labor that they do that goes unnoticed, or that they feel goes unnoticed. But I do think it's really important to have those conversations, because a lot of times, partners might just not know. They might have a vague idea that there's a lot that happens around the school that seems difficult and mysterious. But a lot of times I think people don't know just how much work it is.
Yeah, the other thing that I have a hard time is when Catherine is like, there's a lot of dishes in the sink. And I'm like, well, you could have said that in some way that didn't make me feel so guilty.
Yeah, some of
and
it the way it's phrased,
and
but
yeah, and try to have it not be like a joking, but try to have it be like, hey, could you do the dishes? Like that. Like that's not nagging, that's asking a question. Whereas like I feel like nagging comes in when it's like starting out from the perspective of making me feel bad that I haven't already done it.
Charlotte thinks that the Belgian national team is going to far in the World Cup, and I agree. I think they've got a chance to win it all. Maybe Charlotte, we'll see.
Go Belgium.
Go Belgium. There's really not a team in the World Cup I'm rooting against. There is one.
I think I know. I think I know what it is, but I don't know how to. I don't know how to. I don't know why. I don't understand any of it, but I feel like I know, even though I don't know why.
You don't know why?
Yeah.
You know why, Hank?
I don't know, John. The franchise currently playing its trade in Milton Keynes is not in the World Cup, so that's as deep as my knowledge goes.
No, other things have happened in our lives. Let's just move on. Let's move on. I have to stop going home for the holidays, but I'll deeply offend people. What do I do? Oh, God, that sounds very complicated, Chelsea. I'm sorry. I mean, can you say, like, I have to stop going home for the holidays because I'm going to be doing other things? I don't know. When I did that, my parents were devastated. I don't have an easy way to do it. I wish I did. Somebody had a really good question, Hank. It was juicy and difficult.
Let's see. Was it this one? I need an idea for my to name my new kitten. She's a calico. Currently, I'm considering Piper or Pickles, but I want something that's nicknameable other than Manhole. No offense to Manhole.
Manhole. Manhole. And then you nickname her Manny.
Manny's a cute cat name.
Manhole.
I don't know, man. The great thing about cats is you can name them anything.
You know what I named my cat?
Capo is a good cat name, this thing, but also Capo is like it's also like a rank in the mafia. Is that right?
That is right, I think, yeah.
Like Tony Soprano had capos.
Sources.
Yeah.
My cat when I was in my early 20s was named Pants. And last I heard, I lost the cat in a breakup, but last I heard, which was for the best, the cat needed a better home than I could provide. But last I heard, Pants was still around. So I've always thought pretty perfect name for a cat.
It's so weird that that cats are out there living their lives without us in other people's homes. And also that people are doing that. There's just like everybody is simultaneously living their life. Like I'm doing this right now, but also everyone else is also doing something. That's weird.
Oh, it is. That's weird. I always have that feeling when I'm on the subway in New York City and I look around and I think like all of these people woke up this morning and put on those outfits. Like, each of us made a choice.
It's like they woke up this morning and they weren't wearing those things and then they put those things on.
What's interesting to me is how rarely we pause to consider the actual humanness of other people. How almost all the time it's just like yeah.
There is often a reaction that's just like, oh my God, look at all of these automatons going about their like doing the thing that society says they should do, these sheeple. And I'm like, wow, what you've actually expressed is your complete inability to have a complex understanding, to like do any robust imagining of another person.
Right. Every single person who says the word sheeple is in almost every context just failing to imagine people complexly.
In some ways, like anyone who looks at a subway car full of people and says sheeple, I'm just like, wow, there's one person in the subway car who has a problem, and it's you.
Right. Well, but actually, that's the counter. The counter to that is that I have a bad habit of thinking of people who call other people sheeple. I have a bad habit of thinking of those people as sheeple. So I don't think I've quite. I don't think I've quite like solved the Rubik's cube of empathy just yet.
Understandable. Who do you think is on track to be Skynet? Is it Google, Amazon, Tesla? No, it's Facebook, obviously.
Yeah, man, Facebook is really good at Skynet stuff. But I also don't. I also think like the truth will be so much worse than Skynet.
Yeah, it'll
So
certainly be different. And I don't know, man. I think that I think the war will be fought in our own brains. Maybe that's always
uh,
true.
no, I think a lot of times the war is fought with guns.
Right. When it's better for it to be fought in our brains, obviously.
That is my favorite place to fight a war.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I guess the Fortnite landscape is my favorite place to fight a war. But
That's not really a war. It's more of a battle royale, as they say.
yes, as they say. Hank, we got to go in a minute, and unfortunately, we've made it all the way to the end of our live stream. We've said thank you, and I want to say thank you again. I've been going through a tough time, and I'm never more reminded than when I am in a difficult time of how profoundly grateful I am to be part of this community and to feel your support and to know that you support our work in a way that makes me feel safe and secure, and it's something that a lot of people don't have. So I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But Hank,
Yep.
before we go,
Yep.
we've got to talk about the elephant in the room.
What is? I mean, I know what my elephant in the room is. What's yours?
Michael
Wait, I
Cohen.
guess. Oh, it's Michael Cohen.
Michael Cohen.
I thought it was. That's it's funny because ever since this morning, I've only really thought about one thing, even though I've had a lot of meetings about other things, which is the first review of an absolutely remarkable thing that has not come out publicly yet, but has come out publicly enough that I have read it.
You can't talk about that. You really can't talk about that. I
Okay.
don't want to get you in trouble. But I'll say I'll get in trouble for Hank. And you can please don't tell anyone this. It's not public yet. But the first review for an absolutely remarkable thing came out, and it is like as good as it could possibly be. It is as positive a book review as I have ever read, and it is also very quotable, which, like, when you're getting a good review, you want it to be a good review.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want the reviewer to have liked it, but you also really want the reviewer to, like, say something in one sentence that fits on the back of a book.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that reviewer crushed that job. So it's incredibly exciting that your book is, well, look, your book is good. So either the reviews were going to be good or the reviews were going to be wrong. But no, that is not the elephant in the room, Hank. The elephant in the room is that Michael Cohen has flipped.
Oh yeah, Michael Cohen flipped. He like all of his Trump lawyers. He was like, no, I don't need you guys anymore.
Flipperoonie Fuschini.
What?
Flipperoonie.
Flipperoonie Skuskini.
We're in a whole new world now. We're in a world. The DC character universe has taken yet one more shocking turn.
You know, John, what I feel about that is that we arrived at the point where no matter what happens, no one will change their minds about anything.
No, because there's so much that there's so much that hasn't been reported. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know, which is the magic.
And like I do try to remind myself that Watergate happened in a similar fashion, where for a long time everyone was like, "Oh my God, just let this be over with. Like it's not that big of a deal." And then suddenly everyone was like, "Oh, yeah, it's a big deal. You should resign." At the same time, I don't know that Donald Trump has like the ability to admit wrongdoing or resign, which to me is like, I don't want a constitutional crisis.
Oh, I don't either. But I don't think we're there yet. I think that's a little bit. If that's coming, it's way down the road. Several people have asked about PodCon. Do you have any PodCon updates?
The only PodCon update I can give you is that there will be another PodCon, and it will happen early 2019.
That's quite soon.
I mean, it's in 6 months-ish.
Feels soon to me.
6 or 7 months, yeah. There will be more information soon. But yes, that is also not like super public information. But yes, there will be another PodCon.
All right,
it will be in Seattle again.
This book got a good review, and don't tell the world that there will be another PodCon. And with that, we must go.
With that, we must go.
Thank you again, DFTVA.
Bye.